good, Mike? Here we go. Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Queen Anne's County Commissioners meeting. This is a public meeting that is being aired live on our local cable television station, QACTV 7. This meeting is also being streamed live over the internet at www.qac.org/live. These media broadcasts provide county citizens an opportunity to watch and review our scheduled public sessions. We acknowledge your participation, and by attending, you acknowledge that this session is both recorded and aired. The scheduled agenda is available on the information table just outside of the meeting room. Press and public comment will be taken and is limited to 3 minutes per person. If you care to speak, you must sign the sheet on the information table outside. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing for the Commissioner's review. During the meeting, we would ask that you turn all electronic devices off and hold personal conversations outside of the meeting room. We will now stand and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commission President Jim Moran.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We remain standing for a moment of silence for our men and women abroad. Thank you very much.
Okay, Commissioners, we just had a closed session and to discuss personnel matters. The first of which was to create a courthouse committee and to be co-chaired by Commissioner Steve Wilson and Commissioner Chris Corcarino. And they will be coming back to us. So this will be for the historic courthouse with a group of committee members to steer the way for the use of our historic courthouse in downtown Centerville. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Secondly, we selected a nominee who will remain nameless for the William Donald Schaefer Helping People Award this year. And lastly, we discussed a review procedure for employee contracts and a procedure that will be established with the assistance of County Attorney Pat Thompson. Okay?
Good.
Okay, bringing us to our agenda for today. Today's meeting, September 24th, along with the regular closed session minutes for your September 10th Commission's meetings, was distributed electronically for your review. Are there any additions or corrections to those?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, great. All right, that brings us to our first press and public comment statement. Thank you for taking the time to express your views to the County Commissioners during this public comment period. Comments are limited to 3 minutes in length. Comments longer than 3 minutes should be submitted in writing. When you come forward, please speak clearly in the standing microphone. State your name, address, and topic of interest. Keeping with the dignity of the office, we ask that all views be expressed in a respectful and civil manner. This Commission respects your desire and right to convey your message freely. We ask as a courtesy to the Board and our citizens that you respect the Commissioner's request and refrain from naming citizens and name-calling when offering any critique this evening.
No one signed up.
So we have nobody to sign. Would anybody like to speak at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to make 3 comments. Don't get nervous, guys. I'd first like to give a shout out to Renee Carter and Department of Community Services and Area Agency on Agency. It's her 60th birthday today. She might get mad that I told you that, but wish her a happy birthday. Also would like to say congratulations to James Miller of our county parks. He passed the Certified Parks and Recreation Professional, and we only have 2 of those now, Steve Chanley and him. So kudos for him for taking care of that. And since we were talking about courthouses earlier, I think everybody should know that this coming Thursday, Queen Anne's County is going to get an award for the project of the year for 2018 for our courthouse, and it's our DPW. Who's going to be down there?
David Sadiq and Lee Edgar will be accepting that.
So big kudos to them, and even bigger kudos because our county administrator here, Mr. Mon, has been selected to receive the Engineer of the Year award for his exemplary service to the organization and the engineering profession. He was selected out of all the engineers in the association in the state of Maryland and is more than deserving of this, so congratulations to you, and that's Thursday night. So I'm going down because I can't let him go by himself, and there's somebody said bourbon, so we'll see what happens. So thank you, that's all I had.
Thank you very much. Okay, new business, commissioners. If you want to turn to tab number 3, we've got 7 items. Item 1, page 1, is a letter to Dr. Ciatola, and he is here in the audience, I believe, if you have any questions. But this is a support letter for the Mobile Integrated Community Health Program for your signature consideration.
I'll make the motion to sign. Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? More discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
All right. Our second item, also a support letter. This is a letter for the Regional Health Care and Certificate of Need exemption request by the University of Maryland, Regional Health. So that's,
I move to sign the semi-annual progress report as presented for the Community Development Block Grant number MD11 ED70 regarding Mattapique Industrial Park, which covers the time period of January 1, 2019 through June 30.
Wait a minute. You're one ahead of yourself.
Ahead of yourself.
item 2.
Oh, second one. I move to sign the certificate of need letter. I wish I'd have read that one. That's a lot
That's
easier.
easier, right?
Second?
I'm teed up for the next one then.
There you go. That's right. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Do it again.
I'll second that other one.
Want me to get that again?
Well,
All
let's
right,
see
item-
what it is first.
Item number 3 on page 5 is the semi-annual progress report for the Community Development Block Grant. Can I get a motion on that, please?
I can. I move to sign the semi-annual progress report as presented for the Community Development Block Grant number MD11 ED70 regarding Mattapique Industrial Park, which covers the time period of January 1, 2019 through June 30, 2019, and it is Groundhog Day. See that?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Item 4 is a property tax credit for disabled emergency worker Robert L. Owen.
Okay.
Okay, motion.
Oh,
I move to approve the property tax credit dwelling owned by disabled emergency worker Robert L. Owen in the estimated amount of $2,141.49.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
The emergency worker, I mean, more specific, what does he do?
What did he do?
What did he do?
Jonathan, who vets these?
I'm sorry?
Who vets these emergency services that get disabled and excuse me? So
Well, no, but I mean, I want to know, so emergency services, so,
he doesn't have to be one of ours. He could have this, live here and have this happen to him as an Anne Arundel County firefighter. and
okay,
he would still
that was my
qualify.
question.
Yeah.
What emergency service did he,
I don't know. It doesn't
was
say.
was he a paramedic, a firefighter, a police officer? Huh?
I don't check the actual.
Okay. So I would just make a small request that in the future, because we'll be doing these, that we know what branch of service
We certainly can.
or
Let me
or
ask
he or
another
she served.
question. Once somebody goes on, if they got better or, time went by, is there any review of this ever again?
No, because they're considered disabled by the state.
Right.
Forever and ever and ever, even if they cure?
They can go do something else, but
Okay.
we have others in the county that are already collecting this that get the tax credit and they can work another job, so, yes.
Does it apply
That's
just to
through
this
SDOT,
property, or
right?
if they move to another property, it would apply to the new property?
As long as they live in Queen Anne's County, we offer this, so no matter where they would move, they would
It
get the
would
credit.
still attach.
Correct.
So it'd come back through SDOT, so we would get notification anyway. SDOT would inform us if there's a change in status. We wouldn't necessarily do it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the property tax credit dwelling owned by a disabled emergency worker, Robert L. Owen, in the estimated amount of $2,141.49. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Commissioners. Item number 5 on page 10 is a capital request for a new vehicle for the Department of Emergency Services.
I move to purchase
I'm sorry.
one.
Community Services, excuse me, Community Services. I'm sorry, not Emergency Services.
Yeah, exactly. one 2019 F-150 through Preston Ford for the approved purchase price of $31,000 for a savings of $4,000 per the original budget amount. Somebody second?
Second. So, real quick, when we do these, I mean, I noticed that they come from different purchasing agreements, but I've seen where we've purchased an F-150 several times from different places. Do the prices really fluctuate that in between on the purchasing agreements that much that we move which one we use? Or
They
what?
can. I mean, we usually try to get something off the state contract. In this particular case, the state contract was closed, so these are vehicles that are more readily available for their use at community services now. But we try to use what's on the state contract when we
So does it
can.
make sense to wait for those contracts to be open? Is there enough savings to warrant waiting for those contracts to be open?
These are, we usually use the state contract as a guide for the baseline for the dealer, so they're comparable.
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
Any other discussion? I mean, it's not Parks coming in to buy, it's,
Yeah.
you know, I think we're ahead of the game here.
Well, that's because we
right?
won't let them in the building anymore.
I think that, because they're all driving around in the new trucks. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to purchase a 2019 F-150 through Preston Ford for the approved purchase price of $31,000 for a savings of $4,000 per the originally budgeted amount. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, item number 6 on page 14 is Budget Amendment CC, number 7 for school bus replacement. And John Pfister is here along with Dr. Kane, so if you have any questions about this particular budget amendment and this request for 2 buses.
Motion to approve CC7?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
You want to bring Dr. Kane up and
Well, I don't.
want to go with it? I mean,
I'm good with it. I just think so the public understands this is.
I think some clarity there is probably appropriate.
Yeah, so we are, let's see, this 230, it's for a bus replacement, and I believe it's for another, well, you know what? I'm gonna let you just tell us. Instead of me, I know it's 2 buses, I just don't know the,
but the backstory behind why we had to do it, because we
Right.
have 5 buses leaving the county now.
Right.
I think is important versus 4.
Thank you, Commissioners. John Pfister for the record, CFO. Before you use the request for $230,000 in additional capital funding, one is for a bus that we already have in service. The capital budget was reduced when you approved the budget from $413,000 down to $313,000. And by state law, we have to take buses off the road after 15 years. So we had to replace 4, only had the funding for 3. So that's part of this funding. And then the other funding is we have a student who requires specialized transportation to the Western Shore, and we're without a bus to do so. So right now we're using a spare to transport that child. So this request is to purchase a new bus so that we have reliable transportation to the Western Shore for that.
said it better than I could. Very good.
Seems good.
Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Thank you. Thank you.
You both.
Okay, item number 7 is property liens for 5 properties that, for nuisance violations. Can I get a motion on that?
I move to approve resolutions 19-34 and 1935 to place a lien on each of the properties listed in the County Zoning Administrator's Memorandum dated September 24th, 2019 for nuisance violations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Okay, and our final action item tonight is the Town of Barclay Resolution 19-01, annexation of the lands of DeMoss and Siemens. That's a waiver request. And this is a summary of the Planning Commission's findings that the town of Barclay annexation plan is consistent with the comprehensive plan and their recommendation to grant a 5-year hold on the existing zoning on the annexation parcels. And I think
Okay.
Amy Moordock's here if you have any questions about that.
All right, I'll read the motion. I concur with the recommendations outlined in the Planning Commission's letter dated 24 September 2019 and echo the finding of fact articulated therein. Therefore, I move that the Town of Barclay Annexation Plan, Resolution Number 2019-1, is consistent with the County Comprehensive Plan, and further move that the county grant a waiver of a 5-year hold on the existing zoning classification. This approval is conditioned upon the town will pursue the following amendments following the adoption of the Annexation Resolution 2019-1. Queen Anne's County Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan Amendment, and priority funding area expansion per annotated code of Maryland 5-7B, state planning priority funding areas.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No, we've been over this.
Yeah, we've been over this, and this is going to help everybody up there in the northern part of the county, and it's long overdue, so
Yeah.
happy to see it here. So seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Takes us to the presentations portion of the agenda tonight.
Public hearing.
Oh, excuse me, yeah, public hearings first. Yeah, public hearing, Mr. Thompson. County Ordinance 1905, amendment and update of the Queen Anne's County critical area maps.
Ready? At the regular meeting on August 27, 2019, Commissioner Moran introduced County Ordinance number 1905, a bill entitled An Act Concerning the Amendment and Update of the Queen Anne's County Critical Area Maps for the purpose of adopting the comprehensive update of the critical area buffer exempt area maps by replacing the same with the digitally generated georeference modified buffer area mapping as part of the Queen Anne's County Critical Area Overlay Maps by amending the official Queen Anne's County, critical area maps by replacing the critical area buffer exempt area maps with the modified buffer areas shown on the digitally generated georeference modified buffer area mapping. This hearing is being held Tuesday, September 24th, 2019 at 5:45 in the County Commissioner Meeting Room, 107 North Liberty Street, Centerville, Maryland. The Critical Area Commission favorably reviewed the proposal. Copies of the ordinance have been available at the County Commissioner's office and online at the county website. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Written testimony of any length could be submitted on before the hearing date to the County Commissioners. All hearing sites are accessible to individuals with disabilities. Sign language interpreters and assistive listening systems are available. Part of the record of the proceeding will be a memorandum from Amy Moordock, Principal Planner, outlining the history of it and the approval of the Critical Area Commission. I don't think anyone signed up. Is there any public comment with respect to County Ordinance 1905?
We'll close the public comment on 1905. All right, moving on, right?
Yeah.
Done.
Hearing. Thanks, Patrick. Ready to go on? All right, next we have a presentation on the YMCA. Centerville, we got Robbie Gill going to make that presentation this evening. Robbie, how you doing? Good to see you.
Sir, yourself?
Good.
It's been a while.
Has been. Good to see
How
you.
long? More than 3 years, hasn't it?
No, not that
Really?
long. Last year.
Were you here last year?
Yes, sir.
Yes, he was.
I remember because Commissioner Wilson gives me a hard time every time I'm here.
Plan to again. I'm all warmed up.
It's kind of our thing. So. I appreciate the opportunity to give you guys an update, and I have some great news as a part of that. So just going back, the county was kind enough to donate land to the YMCA in November of 2015 to build a YMCA right across the street from Queen Anne's High School, which is located by the new county complex. Soon after that land was donated, the Y spent about $500,000 to create a presence in the community, and so the Y has a 10,000 square foot facility on Courseville Drive. That was the old Commitment Fitness facility. At the time, they had about 300 members, and today we have 2,800 members. Wow. We also partner and collaborate with the Gunston School and the Kent School, serving hundreds of kids throughout the summer. And as you know, as a charity, the YMCA doesn't turn anyone away due to financial limitations. And this year, we'll provide right at $87,000 in financial assistance to make sure everyone throughout the county that wants to participate in programming can do that. We also have some neat outreach programming. We're running a program called Girls on the Run, which is a grade school-based mentoring program for girls. It also incorporates running. Got about 60 girls that are involved with that, which is just a wonderful program led by volunteers. And then that culminates with our Turkey Trot Thanksgiving Day run that takes place here in Queen Anne's County. I included in the packet that I sent to the county administrator our strategic plan. And so you can see when we look at community work, the Queen Anne's County project is right there at the top of our list. And so we've been working hard to make that a reality. The facility that we're currently in, we lease. And so when you look at costs around that, we're spending about $173,000 a year to be able to operate that facility. So it's not sustainable for us long term, and we're not able to meet key community needs. You also maybe saw in your packet all the different partnerships and collaborations we have with school systems throughout the Eastern Shore, and they range from every kid in Wicomico County that's in 4th grade learning to swim as a part of their PE curriculum to partnerships in Talbot County through summer learning programming that provides a full day summer enrichment program, to mentoring programming in Caroline County, clubs in down in Pocomoke. And so that what will happen when a full facility YMCA is within the county, you're going to see an expansion of partnerships and collaborations that currently are in place because we just don't have the amenities, facilities, and structure to be able to do that. We engaged Willow Construction and Becker Morgan to look at the site. The site is unique in that it's kind of in a low-lying area. It's about 10 feet below grade, and so one of the things we wanted to figure out is what we were going to have to do to really bring that up to grade. You've also got a 3-foot wide drain pipe that runs through there, and how do we make sure we maximize the space, and then the shifting several times of the water tower. And so in working on that, we were able to figure out really what that looks like, and we estimate the project. You saw a project estimate bid in your packet of about $14 million through Willow Construction. Our goal is to keep that project around $12 million, which we believe that we can do. We did a feasibility study back in 2010. As you guys know, we've been working at this for a while, and it showed we'd serve between 10 and 12,000 members. So when you think about the fact that we don't have nearly the amenities that we'll have in a full facility and that we're already serving 2,800 folks in the county, that's pretty substantial, and we're well on our way. We did a fundraising feasibility study in this community as well, and that showed that we could raise right at about $5 million. As a part of that, we've been working very hard on building a very strong capital campaign committee. We have 7 individuals on that right now. So it's Stoney Duffy, Alan Griffith, David Cooper, Jeff Frederick, who lives in Queenstown, Mark Free State, Kathy Hill, Tom Hill. Kathy grew up here in Centerville. Tom's been a very substantial volunteer and patriarch of the YMCA on the Eastern Shore. One of the keys for us is being able to secure lead gifts. So when you talk about building a $12 million facility, that's a lot of money. And so we opened our YMCA in St. Michael's on June the 10th. As a part of that project, it's a much smaller YMCA, total cost of about $7.8 million. We got to about 6.2, and fundraising got really tough for us, and we were just blessed to connect to a potential donor to support that project. And over the course of 2 or 3 months, they ended up making $1 million gift that really made that project happen. And then we're there on June the 10th when we opened that facility to see that. And the next day, we got a chance to have breakfast with the donor, and the question was asked, well, what's next on your list? And so Queen Anne's was right at the top of it. And so we talked a lot about this project and the need in this community. And on the donor's way out of town, we actually drove out to Centerville. We saw the current storefront. They got a chance to see our camp staff training at the time, which was great. And then we went out to the site and the land and stood out there and looked at the little bitty sign and what that could be. And really, over the next month, really worked hard in talking about we needed a gift that could create some momentum to where people would see, hey, this is really possible. And then on July the 3rd, they came back and made a commitment for this YMCA at $2.5 million. And so this is a donor that isn't connected to this community in any capacity whatsoever, only connected to the YMCA and the desire to see the YMCA expand its mission into this community. And so it was the largest gift the YMCA has ever received to date. So we're just super blessed and excited about that. We met with the county administrator, Cte Bill is here to talk a little bit about opportunities to partner and collaborate. The YMCA in St. Michael's has a senior center embedded within it, so the county wanted to expand senior center programming. But when you talk about building a facility and the cost involved with that, it's fairly substantial. And so we, in that community, said, why don't we partner together? And the YMCA can literally house the senior center inside of it, and so we'll share space. And it's been an ideal situation in the sense that you have community members that are coming in for senior programming, and then they're connecting to YMCA programming. And then you have folks that are YMCA members that are also connecting to senior center programming. And so it's just been a huge win for us also with the kids that Y is located right on school property. So you've got a tremendous opportunity for intergenerational programming, which has just been incredible to see the connections there. It also gave us the ability to secure funding through the state, through the Department of Aging. And so when we were talking about that in this community, that was something that, while you have senior center programming throughout the county, Centerville is a gap. And so that makes a lot of sense in partnering together in a similar model, and it can also help from the funding standpoint. I heard you mention community development block grant funding. We received those funds in St. Michael's and believe that's a great opportunity as well. And then Governor Hogan has been very supportive of the YMCA and the work on the shore. And so we believe there's funding opportunities there. So I brought with me just kind of our funding model that we're looking at currently. I'd like to pass out if that's okay. So if you look at the bottom, our current goal is to raise $12.1 million. We've secured the one of the key gifts, this $2.5 million lead gift. Our capital campaign committee is fully committed in raising $5 million. And we know that we can do that based upon the feasibility study. The county and the YMCA will work together for the Department of Aging grant. We secured those funds as a part of the project in St. Michael's. We'd also worked together on the community development block grant piece. And then with the St. Michael's YMCA, the governor put the YMCA in his capital budget 2 years ago for $500,000, and then last year for $250,000. And so it's our hope, knowing that this community doesn't have truly a community pool and a place of connection for everyone, that he'll support this project, and we believe that he will. So our goal is to raise the funds that are needed to break ground in the next 18 months to 2 years. And so that's what we're working on now. The big piece that's left for us is this other $2.5 million piece, and our committee would like the commissioners to consider making a pledge towards that. When you look at the cost of the pool itself, which we know will be a hub for swim teams, high school swim teams, as well as swim programming, learn to swim programming, bundling all that together is right about $5 million. And the beauty in the senior center model and the pool model is there's never going to be any ongoing operating expenses for the county. So when you look at the partnership in Talbot County, they're picking up senior center programming without any ongoing operating expenses. When you look at up here, that's going to be the same model here, as well as access to programs and services in the pool for expanding that work with the school system. There isn't any ongoing expense. So it is a capital outlay on the front end, but you're picking up really what I would consider, looking at these other communities, a transformational moment where you create a place where everyone is welcome and can connect, come together. No one's turned away due to the inability to pay. And for the next 100 years, it's going to be a hub for community activity that's going to serve 25% of the population pretty regularly. So it may not reach everyone that's way down on the corner of the island, and the folks from Crumpton will have a tough time maybe getting there too. But those are things, if there's a need, we can work on connecting those folks to it. And I think what you'll find is, I call the Y the front porch of the community. It's where everyone comes together. And that's the power of it and what we're excited about. And that's why this donor gave us $2.5 million towards the project. So I'm happy to, again, I'm excited. As I said, it's a little bit rare that someone can give you a $2.5 million gift with zero connection to the community, but they believe in the cause of the YMCA. They believe in the impact it can have in a community like Queen Anne's County. And so we're grateful for that. And now our goal is to take that momentum and in the next year raise the funds that are needed to get this done to where we can break ground. And all of us will be there to celebrate. And then Mr. Wilson won't be giving me a hard time so much anymore.
So, not to put you on the spot, but since you're here, Do you know off the top of your head the numbers that we're spending, the Board of Ed is spending to support a swim team at both our high schools?
The Rennet Club one, I think, is around $10,000 a year.
$10,000 a year.
So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and I appreciate everything you guys have done to support this
So
project.
Robbie, this $12 million, that's pretty much a total build out. I thought at one time we talked about doing it just in sections, but you're talking about you might as well get and do everything at once. So that's going to have everything you anticipate, weight rooms.
Everything.
Everything.
Outdoor pool.
Right.
This,
Indoor pool.
Indoor pool, field space for programs.
Okay.
So everything. So when we got the $2.5 million gift, it was a game changer in that, our volunteers thought, wow, this is really doable. We're not, when you're thinking about raising $7 or $8 or $9 million in the community, that's a big number. But when that number's 5, if we can find this other 2.5, if that number's 5, that's doable. We know it's doable. Our studies showed that it was doable. So those are people we spoke to personally and said they would support the project. So that number is within our realm because we've already done the legwork on who those people would be to support the project.
And so with this anonymous donation of $2.5 million, that's probably what a lot of folks that are sitting outside, waiting to see something financially substantial happen, and that has happened, which could trigger some of these other commitments that have been just kind of waiting on the outside.
Yeah, the same thing happened in St. Michael's. We worked a long time to be able to build on school property because there was a lot of challenges with that. We had to get a special legislation passed to be able to enter into a 99-year lease to be on that parcel of land, and that took a couple of years, and there were a lot of components to that. And it wasn't until we got $1 million commitment to that project that all of a sudden everyone said, wow, this is totally doable, and it just created this momentum that got it done. And so this $2.5 million was given in that same, with that same desire that it could create the momentum necessary to make this happen. And as a anonymous donor, they don't want to see this take forever either. They want to see it done now. And I believe it's an angel gift that's really motivated our group to say, okay, this is the time to get it done.
But you anticipate 2 more years before you break ground.
Well, even if we had all the cash in hand, you're talking 6 to 9 months in just all the engineering and pieces of that. Our corporate board has a rule that when we're at 80% of pledges, that we can break ground at that point. So you're looking on a $12 million project around 10, 9.6, somewhere around there. So if we get there sooner, great.
Okay.
Then we'll do it. So at the bare minimum, though, we'd like to be out of the ground in the next 18 months to 2 years.
But you're saying in the next 14 to 15 months, you hope to be reaching your goal?
Our goal would be to raise that $5 million in the next 12 months.
Right.
And so that gets us to $7.5 million from a bond or from a Department of Aging process. We'll do that in the 2020 cycle. So that would take place in the spring. The Community Development Block Grant, if I recall correctly, that application process takes place in the spring. You don't find out about it till August. And then there's some legwork on that too. So, by the end of 20, we could be in a position where these bottom buckets are done, and if that $5 million's done, we're there. And so then the last piece is this $2.5 million.
So I guess in a year from now, you'll be in here for good news.
That's the goal, yes, sir.
Better news.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Yep.
Yeah. Very good. Any other questions?
Oh, I think the public would feel deprived if we didn't have our annual colloquy about this.
You
whole
go
thing
right
with
ahead.
McGill.
Get after me all you want.
Well,
I would feel a little
this
bit.
man sat here last year and said that if he didn't come in with something, we could beat him around. I remember him saying that, and you managed to, I have to first drop a blessing on whoever it was that came up with the 2.5. I want the county to bless that person. So we'll put that aside. So I
Thank you,
can't
sir.
beat you, but I can remark on it. I'm not so confident because we gave this land to you 4 or 5 years ago, and in that 4 or 5 years, almost nothing happened. So suddenly, the fact that one donation came in is going to, inspire another $5 million, and then it turns out that one of the other lead donations is us. worrisome to me, but I'm going to sit here for another year and suspend the rest of my remarks until you come back next year.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I applaud your achievement.
Thank you. Yeah, I am as committed as we're as committed as we've ever been, and that gift was a true blessing, and I believe deeply has created the momentum necessary to get this done.
Well,
You can have tennis courts there, Robbie.
And they're not currently planning to do so.
I just think it would be good if you and Steve got out there when this was all said and done and played on the tennis court.
Pickleball for sure.
Pickleball.
For sure. In the gym, yeah, absolutely. Pickleball in the gym for sure.
Sell
You
it
can
once
sell
and for all.
tickets, help
Sell
raise
it once,
money.
that's what I said, we could raise money.
I just want him to know I'll be waiting next year, sir. Good.
Well, I appreciate the kind comment about that. It was
No, it
just
was-
it was an amazing gift.
Yes.
It doesn't
It was.
matter to me whether it came in from one person or 1,000, but well done.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Rob.
Thank you. Yep,
Appreciate
yep.
you coming in.
I appreciate you taking the time. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Commissioners, next up, happy to announce our Teacher of the Year, Miss Heather Eflin from the Centerville Elementary School. She's our music teacher, so if she wants to come up, and we have some gifts for her and our friends from the Board of Education.
Come forward.
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Dr. Kane, you might as well come up too. Come on. Yeah, come on, everybody. We got a couple more seats. Come on.
Hey, Paluski, come up. Paluski, you come up here. Please, sir.
Come on up. Somebody's got to help her carry all this stuff
We've got some
out.
board members.
Her husband's here for that, I made sure.
Oh, there
he
you
came
go.
for that.
Okay. Yeah.
There he is.
We've got two board members in the back.
Thank you, babe.
Oh, my. So, Teacher of the Year.
Yes.
So what we did is we changed the format a little bit. We used to go down with the chamber and do it, but we figured, well, let's see if we can get a bigger audience. So, everyone can know that you, for one, are the Teacher of the Year, and that we, as the commissioners, every year, we put $5,000 out for you to select whatever you need for your classrooms. And I believe, Margie, is it most of it over there? All of it's right there. So that's your little war chest to take with you. So we appreciate everything you do. And I have a proclamation. I know you have some things you want to read. So what would you like to do first?
I guess I could read my thank you first.
Absolutely. Okay.
I am so honored to be here tonight, and I am grateful to be the 2019-2020 Queen Anne's County Teacher of the Year. I have worked as a teacher in Queen Anne's County for 12 years, both on Kent Island and Centerville, and I can honestly say this is an amazing county to work in. Our teachers, paraprofessionals, custodians, bus drivers, and Board of Ed workers all go above and beyond their call of duty on a daily basis. We are a small community that has a wonderful support of parents, family, and local businesses. In fact, our community is so small that just this Friday, while my family and I were out enjoying Icy Delight snow cones on Water Street, we had about 9 cars drive by with the windows rolled down in the back and a student shouting, "Hi, Mrs. Efland!" And even one car turned around and a little 5-year-old popped out just to say hi. I love that about our sweet little town. Thank you to the county commissioners and Linda Friday and all the local businesses for all the donations in that basket and for fulfilling my wish list. With these items, over 500 children will be impacted by these gifts. My music room will have a computer corner, and our morning announcements technology will get a huge upgrade, and the children are so excited about it. I am especially grateful to a few amazing people whose support is the reason that I'm here right now, specifically Teresa Farnell, my fearless leader, and my husband, Adam Efland, who is about to be left alone with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old for 3 days while I embark on my Teacher of the Year Smith Island retreat. So you are an amazing husband and father, and thank you for supporting me.
Yeah, there you go.
Hans Christian Andersen once said, where words fail, music speaks. And with that, I wrote a parody song about teaching that I would love to share for you guys if you would like to hear it. I'll get my guitar.
Now I know where the kids get
There you go. You're going to be serenaded.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you live in Centerville?
Yes, I do. I live in Northbrook in your neighborhood, right?
No, I
Oh, I
don't.
thought you lived in Northbrook.
No,
He's moving there.
no, I don't.
He can't wait.
So what do you think about the YMCA?
I'm really excited. My son's really into swimming, so if we had like a swim team and stuff, especially because I think he would probably be in high school maybe, when it's really coming about. So I think that would be awesome for him.
Okay.
I also was a Zumba instructor at the Queen Anne's County Arts Council for 3 years and on Kent Island. So I think that that's great also. Like it brings in jobs for fitness instructors. I think it's wonderful.
I would have never figured her as a Zumba instructor, huh?
Never.
Yeah, too low key, right?
Yeah, it's way too laid back for that job.
All right. Welcome to the job of student success and early interventions. And students like to dab and they bring in homemade slime. Look to my right where I post my classroom rule sign. There's no time for being lazy. I'm pending a PD on equity. For that objective I've got a really cool trick. Another meeting and in service. And it's time to review my SLO. So I turn my computer on, and I turn my projector on, and I turn my technology on. So I post my lesson plans up, it can't be wrong. Objectives are on display, curriculum's read like yeah, assessment rubrics like yeah. I got my plans up, technology strong. It's gonna be a good school day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a teacher in the great QA. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're the county by the Chesapeake Bay.
Very good. Well, you set the bar high for your teacher of the year to come. I don't know. That's a tough one there. Wow.
Thank you.
I think Commissioner Moran
Taylor
would volunteer
Swift
for a
working
backup
for us
singer.
here.
Jonathan was going to go downstairs and get his guitar.
Blake Shelton's on the phone. He said,
I'm not that great, but thank you guys.
Awesome. When do they have the state?
End of October.
End of October. Okay.
October 25th.
There you go.
Yeah, I think.
So they won't know until the day of the evening dinner, right?
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Well, now we have a proclamation for you.
Okay.
So this is from the Queen Anne's County Commissioners. This is Proclamation 19-49. Whereas Heather Eflin, a music teacher at Centerville Elementary School, is currently in her 11th year of teaching, and whereas Heather began her career at Kent Island Elementary School, where she taught for 8 years and has been teaching at Centerville Elementary School for 3 years, and whereas Heather, as an undergraduate, attended Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas, where she earned a dual degree in vocal performance and music education. And whereas Heather, as a postgraduate student, attended Walden University, where she earned a master's degree in teacher leadership. And whereas Heather founded and directed the Chesapeake Children's Show Choir, and she was certified in 5 different types of Zumba, including a Mommy and a Me Zumba class where she was featured on Fox 45 Morning News. Now, Margie, did you get in on any of these classes? No. Well, come on now, there's still time. Whereas Heather, when not teaching, enjoys spending time with her beautiful family, which includes her loving and supportive husband, Adam, which we already know, has a rambunctious 3-year-old son, Spencer, and her adorable 1-year-old daughter, Renee. And whereas Heather was awarded the Queen Anne's County Public School Spirit Award, and whereas Heather co-workers called her Little Mary Sunshine. Wow. They nailed that. Because she is always smiling and enjoys making others shine. This includes not only her students, but also her co-workers. And whereas Heather last year led a teacher flash mob to the theme of Thriller at the school's Halloween parade, and also led an all-school sing-along, which featured fabulous Centerville Elementary School teacher talent. Now, therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Queen Anne's County, do hereby recognize Heather Little Mary Sunshine Eflin for teacher dedication to her talent, her students, and her co-workers, and for being named 2019-20 Teacher of the Year, signed the Queen Anne's County Commission.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Encore, right?
Yeah.
Encore.
Thank you. Okay. Oops.
We're going to let you young ladies get in front. We'll get behind you here. And yes. Now you go. Don't feel shy if you want to just grab everything right now. It's quite all right.
Family balance is
Opposites attract, right? Yeah. Right. You're quite welcome. Thank you very much. All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, that's fine, yeah. We'll take care of all your goodies.
That's right.
That's
I
right.
saw wine in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. All kinds of stuff in there. All right, if we want,
Yeah.
our next presentation is Chris Perkins, Centerville Rotary Club 48, the annual Artisans Festival Proclamation. Come on up, Chris.
I'm not Chris.
I was going to say.
He was not feeling
Miss-
well today.
Okay.
I'm Rich Graves of the Centerville Rotary Club.
All right, Rich,
Glad
all
to
right.
Be here today, talk about the Centerville Rotary Club's Artisans Festival that we're going to be having at Chesapeake College the first weekend in October. We've been doing it for 48 years. Our Centerville Rotary Club has been making a difference in our community for over 92 years. And we started out our Artisans Festival 48 years ago to give an opportunity for our local artisans to present the things that they're doing and the wonderful things they're doing. And that was a real tough act to follow.
I know it. Yeah.
You didn't bring a guitar?
You're going to sing?
No, I'm not going to go any further than that.
All right.
No. So we really appreciate the support that the county has shown our Centerville Rotary Club over the years, as well as the Kent Island Club. There's 2 members of the Kent Island Club here as well. And the support that Chesapeake College provides us in allowing us to use their facility. And in the past, we've always been at the 4-H park. So we always had a lot of support from the county for the things that we've been doing and accomplishing in our community. Any questions? Or?
So is that just, we want to give the dates again and times, just so the public.
It's October 4th and 5th.
Okay.
The first weekend, that's Saturday and Sunday in October.
Is there a fee to get in, or?
No, we do ask for donations. It's free to get in, walk around, see the various events. Okay. I think they're trying to do a touch-a-truck so kids can climb on some equipment and things like that. So there's some
Is
activities
it a
for
Friday,
kids
Saturday,
as well
or
as
Saturday, Sunday?
It's Saturday and Sunday.
It's 5th and 6th of October.
Sixth.
It's all day long.
I was drafted into this at the
No
last
worries, no
moment.
worries. I just want to make sure people show up at the right time.
And
So.
then, yeah, and what are the times? Is it like noon to?
10 o'clock to 4 o'clock,
Okay,
and I think 11 to 4
On Sunday.
on Sunday.
okay, great.
We also have food. We'll be making hot dogs and hamburgers. The Rotarians will be grilling those up for whoever shows up, and we hope to have another vendor or 2 selling some other types of foods.
Same cheeseburgers as at the fair, right?
We didn't do them at the fair.
You didn't do them at the fair? Who was at the fair? I thought it was you guys.
I think that's the Lions Club, the
Okay.
Queenstown Lions, that does the hot
I
dogs
thought
and
they did
hamburgers.
the clams, but okay.
Nice going,
We'll
Jim.
move on.
Yeah.
Well, Rich, we have a proclamation for you. And
Okay.
I'll been tasked to read it, and I think it's more appropriate that I do, because I used to be a member of the Centerville Rotary, and,
You're welcome back.
yeah, made it as far up as vice president.
Oh, my.
So it's a great organization. some amazing members. Made some great friends being a member of the Rotary. Whereas Rotary International was founded by Paul Harris and his business friends on the 23rd of February 1905 in Chicago, Illinois. And whereas Rotary International is now a worldwide influence for good fellowship, international communication, and a promoter of the high objectives of being a goodwill among men. And whereas during the summer of 1971, a group of Rotarians and several craftspersons began discussing the idea of a crafts festival to highlight local artists and allow them to interact with their guests and explain their art. And whereas the Centerville Rotary Club continuously developed and has proudly sponsored for 48 years the Artisan Festival, starting with 29 participating craftsmen, and this year we expect to have over 40 artists with our featured artist Russ Ohm with the original pen and ink on wood artwork. And whereas the Artisans Festival was created as a premier community event in the county, and this year we are continuing our partnership with Chesapeake College. And whereas we continue to add new and exciting activities so that the guests of all ages can enjoy the Artisans Festival, like the children's area with pumpkin decorating, DNR's Scales and Tales, the Choptank River Big Band on Saturday, and the food courts. Whereas the Centerville Rotary Club intends to utilize all funds generated by this event to fund various civic-minded causes such as our Rotary House, transitional housing for victims of family violence, youth and college scholarships, and many other charitable activities that the club recognizes as needing additional support. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the County Commissioners of Queen Anne's County that the Centerville Rotary Club is hereby commended for its sponsorship of the Artisans Festival. And be it further proclaimed that the citizens of Queen Anne's County and the surrounding area are encouraged to support the festival on Saturday, October 5th, and Sunday, October 6th, 2019, by their attendance, and is signed by the Commissioners.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
I really appreciate this and all the support that the county's provided us over this year.
Thank you very much.
Rich.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Ms. Beth Ann Langworld, the Executive Director for All Seasons, and an update. Beth here? That's not here.
Not here?
Not here? Okay.
Okay.
Well, we have character counts, trustworthiness, and, okay. All right.
Okay. Well, Warren's here. Warren, I saw you, Warren. Where are you? There he goes. So,
All right.
okay. Yep.
All right. Okay, then, Heroin Opioid Poster Award, Warren Wright, and I believe you have some students here that are going to receive that award.
And you can't use any cheat sheet cards.
Oh, I got it right here because you confused me sometimes. I wanted to introduce our two girls,
Okay.
All right.
Marina Scotto, and come on up and have a seat.
Yeah.
Let me see how tall you are. And Hannah Crease. And these are the two girls. Both are graduating seniors. Last year we had a QA Goes Purple contest.
No, 11th grade, 11th and 12th. Last year they were 10th and 11th.
I'm wrong. And these were the winners. And but it was last year, but we held on to them for a reason. And that was, we want to use their work in the school, the high schools, just to show them that some of those kids are pretty good, and it's not that hard if you want to enter again. But primarily it's because this year we're going to hope to be in the middle schools, and we're going to hang we're going to have them sign all their posters.
Warren,
yes.
Before you go too far, for the public out there that's watching on TV that, in the odd chance they don't know who you are, why don't you introduce you and your lovely wife and the organization?
Have a seat.
Have a seat.
Thank you. You always do that. I'm Warren Wright, and I'm a volunteer for the Drug Free Coalition of Queen Anne's County, and I'm I'm sorry, I haven't met you.
Kathy Wright, volunteer with the Queen Anne's County Drug-Free Coalition, and also a representative of Queen Anne's County Board of Education as an adolescent addiction counselor in the schools.
Thank you, thank you.
And so their work's good. We hopefully, if it's okay with the school, each individual middle school, we want to show their posters so the other kids will get ideas. Now, for middle school kids, that's a whole different deal. So it won't be heroin, it will be one of four. It could be drug related, it could be alcohol, it could be vaping, or it could be marijuana. And as we always do, we want it stated positively, and we're going to try to work that out second semester with the Elks Lodge, who do a similar contest. The other thing I wanted to mention of great importance is the Chamber of Commerce really came through on great prizes for the girls, which they have not been awarded yet. And so we wanted to thank Linda in the back and all the businesses that are part of the Chamber and help support the Chamber. That's why we're here to recognize them. The other thing that I think that I'll mention right now is that this coming Thursday and Friday, our speaker, Ray Lozano, is going to be presenting to all of the middle school children in the county. So that's, Suttersville has 5th and 6th graders, excuse me, they have an additional grade, they have 5th graders, so we're breaking that into 2 separate assemblies, and so it'll be age appropriate. And we're really excited about the speaker coming. He came last year, and several of us saw him, and he was really good. So we really think it'll be great for all of our middle school kids to see them. And I wanted to compliment the commissioner and the sheriff and Kathy for the second day of school. They presented to this year's 9th grade because they missed the big program last year. And not to turn any heads, but they were all really good, and the kids were great about it. For you guys, the 5th presentation will be at Mattapique Middle School on Friday. It's about 1:30. Our local access channel, which has always been great for us, will be there filming it, and we're inviting the newspaper, but I think we're kind of excited about that. The sheriff asked me to mention that his 5 minutes with the sheriff, which is where he speaks to all the teams of the fall sports in both county high schools, which I thought were just 24. There's a little more than that. He said that is going so well that he even likes to do it every day. And I think he's already done 12 or 13 separate teams. And for some reason, they really do like to hear from the sheriff, and I know he really enjoys doing that. Last season, and before we give our award, he's their prize. I hope they'll really like them. Gosh, I would like to have one. I want to thank the county commissioners for everything that you guys do, and the community as well, for QA Goes Purple, and for the 19 years you've helped support us with the Queen Anne's County Drug-Free Coalition.
So let's talk about these posters. I'm sorry, what was your name?
Marina.
Maria and?
Hannah.
Maria and Hannah. So these are posters you made last year. There you go. Can you get those, Mike?
Yeah. So to put you ladies on the spot, can you just give us just a quick short, how you came up with the idea, the design that you chose?
So the requirements for the project were the poster had to be positive, which it's a very touchy subject, obviously, so it was hard to kind of make something that's like positive reinforcement but still gets the message across. So I kind of came up with the crystal balls, because you can see negatives and positives, but still it's a very still a real happy message.
Mm-hmm.
Clever.
Really?
So I did be a heroine and say no to heroin because it's catchy, something that everyone can remember, and kind of also touches on not only men but women also.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. You did all the artwork and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, middle
So
school.
we can keep these, Warren, you got the rights to these, so we can use these year in and year out, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
We
that's-
had them sign a small.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to have the
Okay.
parents initial it, so it's
Right.
nice and legal. I noticed there's a policeman out
So
there.
you're a senior this year?
Yes.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Both,
And you're-
both seniors
you-
this year?
I'm a junior.
She's a
You're a
junior,
junior.
yeah.
And middle school kids, regardless of what they say, really like what high schoolers do and stand for. It's just like the athletes that the sheriff speaks to. I mean, they have their little following, and it's a positive thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Spin them around.
Can
so
we get a
that- so
picture
everybody-
with the commissioners and the
Absolutely,
girls?
Yeah, well, I want to see, we still got to see what kind of gifts they're going to get, but.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's, and then we'll get some pictures.
Okay. So I'm Linda Fry, I'm the president of the Queen Anne's County Chamber, and I have Bill Conkey, he is actually the chair of our chamber. And on behalf of the business community, we'd like to present each one of you with an iPad. So we hope that you enjoy it, and congratulations.
There you go.
I actually serve on the coalition too, and we know all the work that went into the poster contest, and I think it was a great opportunity. So thank you. Thank you for participating.
Very good, yeah. Mr. Wilson.
I've already negotiated with Dr. King. These are Queen Anne's County challenge coins. So each one of you can turn this challenge coin in and have an entire day off from school. Or maybe you haven't had that conversation.
I heard that laugh. I don't think you did.
You get everybody? All right.
One of them's a keeper. One of them's got it.
Nice posters. Yeah, good job, thank you. That's great.
All right. I think I see Kelly Huber, Todd. Yeah. Kelly just walked in.
Yeah.
Good. Hand it to LF over there.
Character counts, are you ready? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, it's Beth. Okay, all right, come on. All right, next up we have, yes, yeah, sure.
I apologize, I am coming from my kid's baseball practice.
That's
so
okay.
I'm either
All right,
be here
no
on
worries.
time in jeans or change and be late.
No, it's all good.
So,
All
thank
seasons.
you
Okay.
so much.
Good,
I'm
Beth.
the executive director at For All Seasons. My name is Beth Ann Langrill, and I am here to provide an update to you for the funding that you supply to our agency every year. And we have many updates in the Queen Anne's County office. We are the Midshore Behavioral Health and Rape Crisis Center. We serve all 5 counties of the Midshore. We have offices in Easton, in Cambridge, in Denton, in Chestertown, and most recently, we have moved our Queenstown office into the Stevensville location to be able to accommodate a larger office space. So we've operated for the last 35 years across the 5 counties of the Midshore. Our Queenstown office has always been a one-person office in a building on Delrose Avenue, and we have now moved into Log Cabin Circle in the business park, and we are now 3 counselors in the office with a rape crisis advocate assigned to that office on a full-time basis. And so we've really been able to expand our services in Queen Anne's County, be able to go from having a wait list in Queen Anne's County to not having a wait list for services. And we really hope that the move will allow folks that are in the Kent Island region to have a better access plane to us, as well as those that are living here towards the Centerville region. Most recently, one of the other things that's happened in the Queen Anne's County schools specifically, and where your dollars were absolutely instrumental for us, is that we've expanded into creating a center for learning at our agency, and we are trauma-informing schools across the 5 counties of the Midshore, and we have had the pleasure of working with Sterling Ward. We've been in trauma-informed training for all of your counselors and administrators, and Sterling has asked us to come back and do 6 more hours of training with at least 2 of your elementary schools, and our hope is that we will be able to then come back and continue to provide some of those trainings. And so that training really is working with the administrators, the counselors, and with the teachers to help move in a more ACEs and trauma-informed lens with our students. ACEs is adverse childhood experiences, and we know from the counseling end that adverse childhood experiences, if they are not addressed and if they are not worked with for children when they're at a young age, then they will have adverse later on in life. They will have adversities such as substance abuse, such as heart conditions, looking at things like diabetes and smoking. And so our goal is to help all of the school systems across the Midshore, and specifically here in Queen Anne's County, to be able to not look at children and say, what is wrong with you, but more from a lens of trauma-informed, what happened to you. And so being able to look at our children as not there's something wrong with them, but really helping everyone in the school system and parents and in the community to be able to say, children aren't acting out in negative ways just because that's how they woke up that morning and said, I think this is how I will act. But there's more, usually something either happening in the home or something that's happened to a child. And so really being able to help create safe spaces for children in classrooms. We have cozy corners that are part of our trauma-informed schools, and so giving children soft places to sit and the ability for kids to say, I need a timeout. I need to get myself regulated, and helping to bring a different lens to the classroom. And so we've been doing this across all 5 counties, but we were really excited to be invited into the Queen Anne's County School District. We have been asked to come into your county as a mental health provider. I will tell you that I would love to be able to say yes right now, but we do not have enough staff to expand into Queen Anne's County, but that is part of our long-term strategic plan to be able to bring additional mental health services into the school. And we continue to be your provider for the Queen Anne's County Child Advocacy Center. So we sit on your child care team. We attend the monthly meetings, and we are the direct referral source for any child who has experienced sexual abuse or child abuse, and we continue to serve through our Rape Crisis Center. In addition to having that counselor on the care team, we respond to all of the area hospitals across the 5 counties, and including now Queen Anne's County Emergency Room for any child sexual abuse or adult sexual assault cases, and that's a 24-hour service that we've continued to provide over the last 30 years. And our Stevensville office provides the ability to have short-term and long-term counseling for what we call womb to tomb. So for pregnant mothers all the way through to folks that are in their 90s, providing mental health counseling and referrals for psychiatry. We also are working with all 5 counties, including the Queen Anne's County, and especially with the Bay Bridge. We have a human trafficking program that we are continuing to serve trafficking victims and bring awareness to that program, working with the Eastern Shore Human Trafficking Task Force and making sure that folks are aware that Route 50 is it's a pretty trafficked road in terms of being able to go from Baltimore to Ocean City. And so making folks aware that trafficking is happening on the Midshore, and working to provide services for victims that are coming forward, and for community members who are saying, I think I'm noticing something, I'm not sure what it is, how do I handle this? And so we will continue to deliver those services. We also work closely with all of the Going Purple, and so following Going Purple, we launch our No Matter What You Matter suicide prevention campaign, and that kicks off in our Talbot County area on the 4th of October, but it is a month of October where we are encouraging folks to have a conversation. And so it is not that we expect the community to be able to have the answers for every community member who may be struggling, but we want folks to feel comfortable enough to say, are you struggling? And if they say yes, are you thinking of harming yourself? And we want people to be able to then say, here's the resources, there's For All Seasons, there's the Sante Group, there's Mobile Crisis, and really being able to make folks feel comfortable having a conversation about mental health. Every single person in this room has either been directly or indirectly affected by mental illness, and so we know that part of the barrier is the stigma to people not feeling comfortable to be able to have a conversation. I say to folks all the time, we're very comfortable going to the doctor if we have a cold, but there's a stigma associated if there's someone who needs a medication to regulate the chemicals in the brain. And so we're really hoping that through campaigns like No Matter What You Matter, people will start to have the conversation and be comfortable. If all of us spent even 5 minutes at every cocktail party that we attended checking in and saying, how's your family, and how are the friends, or is there anything going on that you want to share or talk about, I think we would all be in a situation where every single person would be able to say, here's what's happening in my family. And we would all find collectively that just as popular as it is to talk about the football scores, it's really nice that somebody takes the opportunity to say, how are you doing? And staying around for the answer. And so your money has been instrumental for us. We have expanded from 28 staff members to almost 80 staff members since I took over in 2014, and we are continuing to grow. In addition to moving and expanding in our Stevensville office, we've also added a second satellite location in our Easton area. And so our goal is to serve the community, and with the dollars that you all have continued to provide us, we are really excited to be able to share with you tonight all that's happening with us. I say thank you to all of you for continuing to be the staunch supporters that you are for us. I do a lot of work working with the legislators in the county and have done a great amount of work helping get a bill passed to expand our mental health services, working with all of your county legislators and legislators from Caroline and Talbot County. And so we appreciate the work that you're doing for us here and the work that we can then do collectively, both in the counties and across the state. So just thank you so much for supporting everybody and our clients and the staff that works for us day in and day out.
So it sounds like with the numbers that are increasing and the involvement and enrollments in your programs, that some of these stigmas people are starting to realize, I do matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a problem coming out,
Yeah.
and acknowledging that there's an issue and I can get help.
I think that there is definitely a wave of folks understanding that it is not always the chronically mentally ill that need services, that sometimes we have either an episode in our life where we need support or there may be an ongoing mental health issue. We had a great partnership with Channel Marker up in Queen Anne's County at the Todd Performing Arts Center last Thursday when they brought Kevin Hines, who was a survivor who tried to commit suicide jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge, and less than 1% of folks that jump survive. He's one of 39 survivors in the country. And there was a fabulous turnout. There was 350 people there, and Channel Marker has done a great job, and we were really pleased to partner with them and bring that to the county because we really see it as an issue that needs to be discussed.
The ACEs training, is that at the elementary school level, is it just for the counselors, or do you also provide the training for the teachers?
So I was lucky enough to be selected for our agency to be a statewide trainer for ACEs, and so we have now formed what we are calling the ACEs Shore Consortium. It is me and Robin Davenport, who's the executive director of CASA of the Midshore, and two other professionals from the Salisbury area, and we will train anyone. We can do an hour training, a 3-hour training, or an 8-hour training, but the training is really helping folks understand how brain development and how adverse experiences, should they not be addressed and not be handled with care, what that looks like for our folks, because we know that most of our clients and the mental health clients that are being served who have experienced trauma, it happened at an early age, and back 15 or 20 years ago, nobody talked about anything that happened. Even if you think about your own families, most folks kept their stuff to the family, and so we are really trying to encourage people to understand things from the brain development aspect, and then how to work with our young people so that maybe in 15 or 20 years, Talbot Goes Purple and Queen Anne's Goes Purple will have a different meaning because we will have been able to deal with these adverse experiences earlier in life.
Is part of the training when you identify somebody that needs help, how to approach their family members who may be not aware of what's going on, or try to get at the root cause?
Yeah, there's certainly, I would love to say that we have all of the magic answers to be able to help folks have those conversations. So what we do is we provide people tools, and that's part of the presentation that's really important, is that now that you're aware of this, here's the resources, here's how to have a conversation, and if you're not comfortable having that conversation, here's folks that can help you to be able to have the conversation.
So if any members of the public, if they think, let's say, at a school where your kids are, that there's another student there that's exhibiting some sort of behavior, you might be concerned about that. Mm-hmm. What's the best way that they should go about trying to get that known so that child can get some help?
Certainly by talking to the school counselors and by alerting anyone in the administration. Your school counselors are incredible in the first line of defense, and we work really closely in all of the schools that we're in to make sure that there's a partnership happening. And so I think making it known to the teacher or to the school counselor so that they can then put a plan in place with the administration would be our best recommendation.
Okay.
They can certainly.
Extremely important. So.
Yeah, and I think you can certainly always call the hotline. We have a 24-hour hotline. You can call our office during the day. We have hours up until 9 o'clock most evenings. So we can certainly help and talk folks through how to have that conversation. But certainly your school counselors and the teachers really have the best feet on the ground in all of our schools.
Thank you. Anyone else? Very good.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope he won his game.
Well, they're at practice, so.
Oh,
we'll
okay.
see.
All right.
Did you say baseball?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Go ahead.
All right, next up, we have character counts. They're here now. Come on up, Kelly. Yep.
Good evening, and thanks. Sorry about the little bit of confusion. We thought we were going to be here and up at 7, so we were a little confused. Okay, good. But very exciting news with character counts. We're off to a wonderful start with the new school year. Very preliminary numbers. We're just in the process of placing the coaches in the classrooms. 73 coaches so far, close to our 100, which like I said, we're preliminary. We have 91 classes covered. I've had 2 training classes so far. I have another one tomorrow. I'm up to 20 new coaches, which is wonderful. We have 2 new advisory members, which is very exciting, and we're out there recruiting for that. Been busy out all summer at different places, different events, and recruiting. The 4-H fair was wonderful for us. We've got so much I don't want to say business, but so many people in to visit with us. I've been out at the meet and greets. I've been out at the back to school nights. I think I have my last one tomorrow. So all kinds of events. Also, the new teacher orientation was invited by Bridget to go out and talk to all the new teachers about the Character Counts program and what we have in place in the schools and how they can help. So I did that. Centerville Rotary presentation. Possible new partnerships with Chesapeake College. Maybe using some of their students as some of our new coaches, or at the Kent Island High School, utilizing some of the seniors as minor coaches. We had a couple last year, and we'd love to get more of those involved. Maybe some that are involved in education or who need volunteer hours. So we're encouraging them to do that. Attended the Queen Anne's Goes Purple, the opening night. On Children's Council, I'm on the United Way. We have an event on Friday, the Safety Net Committee, where I'll offer to all of our coaches to be facilitators at the Challenge Day. So very active in a lot of things. We attended just last week the Shore Updates Golden Anchor Awards, where we again were nominated as an organization that makes the community a better place. So we were there again this year, which was very exciting. So we're off to a great start. Love what I do. Would love, always looking for coaches. If anyone knows anyone or is interested, we'd love to have you on board. So we have a special group here with us tonight that wrote our proclamation. It is the Queen Anne's County ladies field hockey, both JV and varsity, that are here with us tonight. So
let's put them on the spot. Your name?
My name is Georgia.
Georgia, and you're a freshman, sophomore?
I'm a sophomore and I'm the JV captain.
Gotcha.
Casey Schweitzer. I'm a senior and I'm the varsity captain.
I'm Martha Anthony, and I played 48 years ago at Queen Anne's County High School. It tells you my age. But these girls embody true athletes, and so many times women's sports don't get that recognition. And one of the things I suggested to Kelly is perhaps if we go to the quarterly pillars of the month or whatever we're going to, is to maybe have a sports team from that season come in from both high schools that can write the proclamation and then present it to you all so that we could do it. That's just an idea. We don't know. They just had a game last night in Dover, and then they had a game this evening at North Carolina High School in Denton. So they're into their schedule, and they're doing really well. And what else you want to tell them? They have a lot of girls on the team, both
Well, I can
teams.
tell you when it goes purple, you crush it when it goes purple, because when your field, everything you guys do, you definitely stand out. We noticed that, so thank you for that.
I think that's one of the reasons why we thought this would be a good idea, is because I'm envious myself that they're playing on a turf field. Never had that opportunity myself to be able to do that or to even coach, because I also was the coach at Queen Anne's for many years. I won't tell you how many. So I know that I'm impressed with the field and the facilities and everything, and just thank you. And I know the girls wanted to share that they really appreciate you all going all out for our teams at both high schools.
Does it make a
important it is.
difference when you're playing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got some more.
Definitely.
You got some more girls out there running around. It's supposed to be.
They're texting me, they're rolling, and they thought that it was later.
Yep.
They're walking around. They're walking around out there now.
Go get
Oh,
them.
there we go.
There you go.
This is Sarah Boyer, and come on up here.
Hey.
I've forgotten your
There was a
name.
little confusion with the character
Katie
counting
and
after
Sarah.
they were bed, so they were after we're bed.
Ah.
Okay. We know you played 2 days in a row in your attire. We were just talking about the turf fields and how tremendous it is to be able to play on turf. And I believe several of the seniors, you're going to college, I think, to play hockey. Sarah's going to be playing lacrosse. She's a lacrosse star. And I'm not sure about you. Are you playing yet?
Just academics right now.
Okay, so this is important to have a turf field, because that's what they'll be doing in college for sure. So, anything you all want to say to these are our county commissioners?
Have you played Kent Island yet?
No, we have not. It's
When
our
is
last
that?
game of the season.
Always the last game of the season.
Were you home or away?
We're at Kent Island this year.
All right. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Gonna do any trash talking while you're here, or do you guys?
The JV has already played Kent Island. They were our first game, and we won 2-1.
Oh,
Congratulations.
low scoring game too. 2-1.
What do you
Wow.
predict for your game, varsity?
It's definitely going to be a competition. I mean, we always go neck and neck with Kent Island, so.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say, regardless of who the two teams play during the season and how the schools are ranked and what their scores were, you can throw all that out. When the two high schools come together, it's like nothing you've ever seen before. The competitive spirit, the stepping up the game. I mean, it's night and day, night and day. So you never know. That I would tell you what, for the TV audience, that's one you do not want to miss.
And if you've never been to a women's field hockey game, please come out, catch one of their games and see how fast it moves on the turf especially, and the good competition that they have. It's amazing. They do a wonderful job. Fun to watch.
We have a proclamation?
Proclamation, since I'm the only Queen Anne's County line here, I get to read this, right?
Alumni, that's right. I forgot about that.
Okay.
Name dropping here.
2 years ago, what?
A little bit longer than that. Pillar of the month for October 2019 is trustworthiness. Whereas Queen Anne's County was declared a character counts community, and whereas the citizens have been called upon to embrace the 6 pillars of character and incorporate them into the daily activities and to model these traits of good character. And whereas the Character Counts Pillar of the Month for October is trustworthiness. And whereas all athletes, coaches, and members of teams will incorporate this value in their daily lives by being honest, by telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, by being sincere, and by being forthright and candid. And whereas all members will strive to be reliable by keeping their promises, honoring their word and commitments, and being dependable and being on time. And whereas the Queen Anne's County field hockey in all athletic programs will make every effort to have integrity, to stand up for their beliefs, follow their conscience, be honorable and upright, live by the principles no matter what others say, have the courage to do what is right and try new things even when it is hard. And whereas all members will make every effort to build a good reputation, and whereas all members will be loyal to friends, family, and country, be a good friend, and look out for those who care about you. Now therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Queen Anne's County, do hereby designate the Character Counts Pillar of the Month for October is trustworthiness. This is submitted by the Women's Field Hockey Program and the Athletic Department of Queen Anne's County High School, Shanna Corder, Coach, David Wagner, Athletic Director, and Amy Hodak for the Principal.
Thank you very much.
Good job, ladies.
How many players are on field hockey on the team?
I think our team holds 21.
21?
21, I believe.
Yeah.
11 play at a time.
Okay,
Yeah, not on the field. It's 11 on the field.
okay, great.
And they have a picture for the yearbook?
Sure.
So you guys played North Carolina tonight?
Yes.
And it's safe to say you beat them?
Yes. What? Oh, I know.
Give that Ken Island dad number. And you know what? We're gonna give you guys the information, so you can keep it.
Why don't you all come out
You guys
to the front?
stand in the front?
Ladies, these are for you to put, we expect to see these on your gear bags. Put them right on there. My daughter's not going to understand this.
Especially when I drop a lion beard around you with my
Great.
surrounded by the #1 fans, of course.
Very good, thank you. Good luck.
Oh, yeah, that was me.
Phil. Sure. You said they would spot your 2 goals and they're still going to beat you.
Oh, is that so? All I have to do is tell Reagan that she plays defense.
She's on varsity, right?
Huh?
She's on varsity.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Commissioners, that concludes all the presentations for this evening. If you want to turn to legislation, tab number 7.
No,
That's done.
that's not where you want to be.
Oh, no.
We have, we have the draft requests.
It's the wrong piece in there.
It's not in there.
What?
Not in mine, I don't have it.
You don't have you don't have this?
I have a tab 7, but I have County Ordinance 1915.
Yeah,
No, I don't have that.
There should be another page in there. No?
I'll make copies.
I got mine.
It's in mine, yeah.
Not in digital.
Oh, it's not in digital?
Jack and I have digital.
Oh. Sorry about that. This is a,
Well, the first, we might as well start anyways till they get it, so, you know, this,
1905?
next page.
Okay, gotcha.
No, next page.
Yeah, got it. Understand.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, we had a, I guess, glitch with the digital, but basically, this is a draft list of potential legislative requests for the 2020 General Assembly. This has been prepared for your use with the delegation. You're meeting with them next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
To talk about these, and then followed by the CTP tour. So we can go through these individually if you like. First one, residential sprinklers, and that's the consideration that Worcester County has put forth to have waiver of single new family residents with sprinkler systems, and we wanted to support that or not. I mean, I can just, no decisions on these, we can just go through these if you like.
If there's not
Any discussion on that?
I mean,
Well, I guess we probably ought to just wait till the delegates in here, and, because...
But you want to leave them on the list? Any of these
absolutely.
we can
I mean,
leave on the
it's-
list, take off the list, whatever.
I mean, until
whatever.
something's resolved with it, I think we leave it on the list.
Okay.
Because there's conversations got to be had about it, so...
Okay. The second item was local liquor laws. There are several stipulations here. A couple of these were brought forth by the Liquor Board. Item I was to remove the stipulation that you can only have one financial interest in a license. To review the residency and ownership provisions to hold a liquor license. To remove a provision that you must be 500 feet from a place of worship for a liquor license. And then providing provisions for the county commissioners to employ staff. That was just more of an administrative item there.
Have we
on
gotten
the
any
liquor laws.
input from the EDC for the local liquor laws, how that might affect?
We have not.
businesses?
We have not. We certainly
I think
can do that.
something we should put on there.
Okay, certainly.
As well as I'd like to look into the possibilities via the liquor laws to change it to be more in line with what Kent County did in terms of, for restaurants, in terms of being able to serve food in our breweries and things like that, because of the 75-25, whatever the split is on the, what the bill's got to be. You got to consume so many dollars of food versus alcohol that exists. They changed it in Kent County. Our legislative group did, so they're very familiar with how to do it, to provide for like Casanelli's winery or distillery over there, that they were able to serve food in there, because prior to that they couldn't serve food in there. And I know Cold Classic Brewery has that issue now, and so does Blackwater Distilling, in terms of how they can relate, because they're a distillery and or on-site brewing or distilling.
It's
So
technically
I think
a
it's just
tasting
some
room or
right,
something like that.
and I'd just like them to look into that. Like I said, they've already done it once, and I think it would help those businesses out tremendously, because right now they rely on food trucks when they can get them, and sometimes they can't get them. So it's, you know.
Well, I think what we need to do also, just as a housekeeping, is on next Tuesday, right, is next Tuesday's meeting with legislative, you know, for instance, on the residential sprinklers, we're going to have to, fish or cut bait. So it's going to take three yeses for them to put it on their agenda. So if we don't have 3 yeses, then we know at that time we're going to, throw it out. So, and it goes with the liquor laws, and we can break those up in any groupings that we want. So, for instance, I support a bunch of these, so I'm fine with that. But I just think that we don't need to make decisions now, but we need to be aware of what's coming next Tuesday, so that we can make a decision, so we don't just sit here and say nothing. So I just want to, if there's something that anybody wants to remove from the list, now's the time to do it before we get to Tuesday. So.
Has the public been complaining they can't get their liquor close enough to a place of worship? Like, where's that?
Yeah, there was an issue
or
with
is
that.
it that we have churches that are in temporary spaces that are near?
There's that as well, and some of the churches even get single-day licenses. So it's a provision that was brought forth by the liquor board themselves, because they're issuing temporary, one-day licenses to churches, and then a place of worship could be, somebody's private residence. So it's a provision that they thought, should be addressed.
It's come up, even that little place we have pizza down in Sudlersville couldn't serve because they were within 500 feet, and we had to go to court or something to fix them up. I mean, this thing ought to be.
Okay. And Todd, why don't you, where did adjust the hotel tax, where did that come from? What originated to get that on the list? Is there somebody wanted something, Jonathan? Do you know anything about that, or?
I thought it came from Ken Harris.
It might have been the KNDF about adjusting the hotel tax, but we're at 5% currently, and most other counties in the state are 6, 7. There's one county lower than us, Worcester County, 4.5, but that was on the list, I believe, from one of those agencies. But I just had it on
we're going to
consideration.
need. I think so. Some of these we're going to need a little background on it. So
Yeah, sure.
For instance, if it didn't come from them, who did it come from? And if we pull it off the list, we still have time before January 1.
Oh, sure, yeah. This is just for, preliminary consideration
Right.
at this point in time, yeah.
Right.
Jonathan, could you give us any sense of what we take in from the hotel tax?
It's about $350,000.
Okay, thanks.
All right, item 4 was relative to the TIF, and that was, this was a recommendation from our bond counsel to get Queen Anne's on the list that would basically allow us to provide a supplemental state or a supplemental property tax within that TIF boundary in the Kent Narrows in the event that the tax increment financing could not pay off those bonds. And that was, Jonathan's here, he can maybe speak a little bit more to that, but that was the recommendation. We'd have to get on the list as a county that could do that.
Well, as Todd said, it was recommended by the bond council. It would provide for a backup special tax, which would just be levied on the developer. So that's really who would pay it. And it's more there for the bond investors than anything else. And again, it's strictly backup if, the model wasn't working and there wasn't enough revenue to pay the debt service, then this backup special tax could be adopted by you, and again, would be on the developer. But
When you say the developer, you don't mean the entire tax?
No,
map,
I mean, it would
area,
be-
just the specific projects.
specific projects, it would be, there were 3 projects that were originally
Correct.
on the list, so it would be one of those.
Right. But we don't have to do this, and it can move forward, and if it was to default, it would default, and the investors would be the ones that lost.
Yes,
So,
but it's helpful. I mean, it provides, some lower risk for them.
Correct.
So it's
I
better,
totally get what
better
that is.
for them. And it really is just, there's a long list of counties that are covered in the state law, but we're not on that list. So it would just add us to it would just authorize
Yeah, it's just
us to be on the
just
list.
enabling
I'm sorry, it would just
legislation, so, yeah.
be enabling, that's all
No,
it would be.
no, I get it. So I just wanted the public to understand we don't have to do that.
Right.
Right.
That's
But it would
right.
go along the lines of what we did by
Right.
putting the district out there now. That would just be one more piece of the puzzle
Right,
for future commissions that may.
Okay.
that's right.
All right. Now, I mean, like, for instance, broadband support Chop Tank initiatives, that's not really a legislative?
Probably not. They are going to go to the General Assembly with some law changes. They haven't given us any draft bills yet that I'm aware of.
Well, they
But
only asked of us as a support letter from us and any other
Support
groups.
letter from us,
They
and
want
then-
to be relieved off the PS. They want not to be regulated.
Well, they want to be able to use their existing assets to provide it. That's what the biggest part of this legislation, so that they can use their existing employees, lines, poles, and all that. Right now, they would have to provide new trucks, new employees, new lines, new poles, just to go to the same place. So that's the biggest part of the legislation. And to allow the opening up where they can cross another utilities area, like Barclay, they can go up 313, go through Barclay, which is Delmarva, and it would allow them to go through there without a bunch of headaches, so, yeah. And I think that's going to be, I think you're going to have a lot of people writing letters of support for that. I think our EDC is going to write one, and I think, I think the business community in general ought to be writing them wherever they can, so.
And they're coming to the next broadband commission meeting, I believe, to present that.
They just did.
They just did?
Yeah.
When was that?
Chop Tank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were just in.
Okay.
2 days ago.
Yep.
Okay, good, all right. All right, the next one was to potentially put in enabling legislation so we
Right,
could
okay.
levy a special benefit.
Just going to be enabling that was there. If we get specific projects where we could get neighborhoods that would be willing to accept that, much as we do with the roads up in Southern Ken Island and all.
So if that's something you want to consider doing, we can.
Absolutely. Again, to have it as a tool in the toolbox I think is good.
Okay.
So we don't have to go down that road.
All right. And this next one, I don't know if that's legislative or not, but
I
it's.
think
to-
the task force has taken that up this time.
They are?
The state, the one that the governor convened, I think they're actually taking up that as one of their initiatives back as a recommendation. So I think it is going to get legislated. So, or some decision's going to be made.
So you want to leave those all on the list then?
And we could, yeah, I mean.
Just for discussion
The main one
purposes?
is to support, is to get Chop Tank, is to get that initiative, because that's going to free up a lot of stuff, so.
Okay.
And the enabling on the benefit assessment.
All right. The next one was to potentially restrict sewer tank pump outs from boats in open water, and Commissioner Moran and I spoke about that. We were supposed to have some discussions with DNR. That has not happened yet.
There's a lot of that going on.
There is a lot of that
And
going on.
until
so-
you've educated yourself, and I got educated on what it looks like, now I'm seeing it more often when I'm out on the water or heck, just driving across the bridge, sometimes you can see it. And it's unbelievable how often it's happening.
I took some samples and had them tested. And, on some of these, the larger boats are supposed to have some type of ultraviolet light, something that kills the bacteria. And I came out with like 50% of them were loaded with E. coli. So, and we're talking about in the Y River. And, literally you can see houses and people water skiing and tubing, and you go
Jet skiing.
And I don't understand it, because almost every marina has a pump out, and all pump outs are free by MDE. You don't have to pay to get your boat pumped out. So, to me, it just seems like a little common sense, but, you know, we'll see what kind of wall this runs into, so. But, yeah, I'm all for that.
Well, that's something that has to be done at the state level, right? We can't.
Yes,
because
that's
the
right,
waterways
because of the
are not controlled
waterways,
by
that's
us.
right. Yep.
All right.
The derelict boats. I don't
Okay, the
know.
next one is to establish a better, quicker process to remove derelict boats from waterways. Something else we can consider
And we
doing.
just recently had a situation down at the marina where the owner of the boat brought a backhoe and started ripping it apart right there while it was in the water.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
That's one way to remove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first.
So,
And speaking with the Public Landings Division, they said mooring piles have a tendency to attract some derelict boats, so I don't know if there's anything we could do there to restrict or monitor mooring piles, just mooring piles that are out in these coves and whatnot. People tie up to those and just leave their boats.
and then they just leave them.
Just leave them there,
go.
yeah, until they sink, yeah, and it becomes, you know, a local problem. The next one was to establish local authority to close the SHA exit ramps off of onto 18 from 50. We talked
That
about
made a
that.
huge difference. I mean, night and day difference when they did that and the traffic that traveled up 18.
You mean
Are we talking about asking for authority year-round or just in the summertime, or?
We hadn't really talked about. I mean, I think with the lane one closure coming up, it might be something we would want year round at this point. Yeah, potentially. Or you know, we've talked about whether we should just ask SHA to step up and make that part of their program, you know, protocol like they're doing at Queenstown now.
Don't you think they're going to want a plan, though, that has triggers included and things like that before they would bite off on that?
No, because they saw, about a month ago, a picture was sent to me in one of those massive backups where cars were queued out in the Hammer Lane on Route 50. And because they wanted to turn left to get onto 18 coming from Ocean City, and they were actually backed up on the highway. And I sent the picture to Todd with some choice words, and he sent it over to Secretary Slater. Secretary Slater just
He was in the backup.
3 days prior sent a letter going, no, you can't close the exit. But when he got that picture, he goes, I saw it, I'm in the backup, we'll talk on Monday. And they closed it. And what's alarming is, you know, so when we give them what we see as our observations and what we'd like to see done, we get a no, but if they see it, well, yeah.
They're not trusting the boots on the ground.
Right, so now at least, one thing is good is now they're actually calling us and saying, okay, do you want to close this weekend? So they're giving us that, which is great, but now they give it to us for 4 or 5 more exits and we'll solve the problem with local traffic. Yep.
Without legislation, potentially.
Without
if they
legislation,
were,
yeah.
and with their using their resources as well. And I think
Right.
that could be an effective
Yeah.
option here. But you know, the CTP tours next week as well, so that could be brought up and discussed.
I mean, you know, the sheriff has used about 50% of the $50,000 in overtime. But, you know, we've shown that it only takes 3 officers and we can control the traffic. You put one at Nesbitt at the hospital, so they got to come down to that roundabout, and you can put them right back out on 50, and you hit them at Winchester Creek Overpass, and you hit them at one of the exits at Kent Narrows, and you can keep that Route 18 open. You know, so, you know, that's what we're trying to get from the state, and I guess we're going to have to get them caught in that traffic before they'll understand what it does to those local roads and our emergency services, and just the sheer, don't lose our minds over the traffic. So, anyways, so that's one thing we need to talk to them about. The brag, as everybody knows, they've come out with a new process. They only want to meet quarterly. They don't want us to appoint anybody on the Bay Bridge Reconstruction and Advisory Group. They want to go through resumes and handpick who they want on this. So, and they only want to meet 4 times a year. And then after a year, they'll decide if it's any good or they'll just dissolve it. So to me, they might as well dissolve it now because they just want to whitewash that. And I'm
They're
not
gonna
for
neuter it. Yeah.
So, I mean, it has no teeth. It has no real meaning. And for them to tell Mr. Wilson and myself that we want people that will disseminate the message to the community, and we're like, what better way but the commissioner? And we have the resources to do this, and they didn't think so. So I don't, you know, Todd, I know that Senator Hershey, he's big on this, and he wants to go after him because there was legislation in the past that made it through the Senate, didn't make it through the House, to where, you know, Anne Arundel County, Queen Anne's County would be able to appoint so many people, And there were checks and balances, and where now there are none. So I think he's going to champion that one on his own.
Okay, well, just for your information, there is I think each commissioner did get an invitation to submit an application or ask someone to submit an application for this committee.
It's in the book.
It is in the book in the information tab, item 3. And those applications are due by October 7th, I believe. So
next week.
Yeah. For that
And
committee.
just for that,
I don't know if we want to submit anything.
Well,
or
the
put that out
CTP
there.
tour is next Tuesday.
It
The
is
state's
next-
coming.
first.
And Director Ports will not be here, and nor will, SHA.
Secretary Ron.
Secretary Ron. Neither of them will be here. So I don't get the enjoyment of telling Mr. Ports that his brag is with some choice words, so I guess I have to send it to somebody else to tell them, so we'll deal with that then.
Okay.
Cte Bill.
This is the career technology bill from last year. We want to try to get, I guess that's going to be back in there this year to allow two counties in the Chesapeake College region to participate in an MOU with for career technology program.
The other thing I think we need to have impress upon our delegates and our senators that they need to be on the lookout for and to certainly support the effort. I know it's MACO's, one of their top 3 initiatives this year is the fight to stop preemption by the state. There's talk that there's going to be a bill, general bill, and I think our delegation needs to support it wholeheartedly, and they need to, this is one they really have to jump up and down for to support, because 2 landmark cases happened this previous year where preemption was in one case denied and another case upheld. And it has to be put legislatively, instead of being decided in the courts, what is preemption, it needs to be put into the code, codified to the point where it doesn't go to courts. This is clearly preemption, or this is clearly not preemption, because the solar siting is one that could truly hurt Queen Anne's County going forward. And the other one was a case in Montgomery County where Montgomery County wanted to have more stringent pesticide laws. Their preemption was upheld, or that there wasn't a preemption, but the solar siting was in Washington County's case. So basically what the resulting of that whole court case was the fact that the state can come in and tell you where utility grade solar is going to go, and the county has no right to say anything. And some of the feelings are that that's going to carry over to the next level, where they'll say that you can't have a personal property tax on your solar, which would obviously preempt us in what we've done here and could affect the zoning. So I think it's important for our delegates and our senators here on the shore to certainly step up and advocate to get some kind of a positive legislation in there that clearly defines preemption in whatever's put forth. So
you want to add that one as well?
I'm hoping it's on their radar already, but yes, I would like to make sure we
bring it up.
Okay.
So what I did is I went through some of my years past, and I wanted to pull out just to give everybody some, and you'll see some similarities here. So this is from 2017, November 2017, when we did the same process. The first thing we had on there, which it's on ours now, is availability of the Maryland State Broadband Fiber System for use by commercial entities. So that was back in 17 we asked, and I don't believe anything was done with that. Number 2 was highway user revenue restorations back to historic levels, and every year it creeps up. Number 3 was observation beds at Queenstown Emergency Center, and that you'll see that again. Number 4 was landfill legislation that would preclude new landfills being built if existing landfills that serve a geographical region are not completely filled. And Todd, we've talked about this, and sooner or later something's going to have to be done with that. Number 5 was fishing prohibited from state-owned bridges, and that's still to this date. There's nothing been done with that. So maybe I'm going to bring that up to them also, because the Kent Narrows, one of the things they complain about is people going up and off the Narrows Bridge. They're fishing, or any part of that bridge, underneath it or above it. There's no teeth, so they need to have it. It needs to be outlawed so that they can have some kind of measurable fine or something to go with it. And number 6,
DNR being there to check fishing license once in a while.
I agree with that, but if they make it if it's against the law, if there's a law that says you can't fish from that bridge, then our sheriff's department, state police can do something. Right now, there's no such law. Insurance to cover long-term rehab for drug addiction but this was in 2017, because what the community that's trying to find relief is all the insurance companies, just right now, they're not being pressured, and with heroin addiction and other type of opioid addictions, it takes at least 6 months to clear the receptors in your brain. So you need a long-term facilities, and right now, that I know of, there's no insurance companies that cover that. So that's a problem for those who just can't afford to pay for those facilities. Number 7, well, that was so then we go over to 2018, which was last year. Highway revenue was number 1. Number 2, observation beds at Queenstown Emergency Center again. So we need to find out where that sits. CORS, which we did get done last year, the correctional officer's retirement. Again, number 4 was insurance to cover long-term rehab for drug addiction. So there's 2 years in a row we asked for it, and I don't know that we got anything from it, and that's one of the questions I want to ask the delegation. Number 5 was the MIC unit, which the rural health, and that's moving along and working extremely well. Number 6 was small cell 5G cell towers, and that's
going to be that's coming back. As a matter of fact, we just did designate somebody to be on that. So yeah, that's coming around again.
And then we briefly discussed the Kent Island traffic and any support we could give for that. And now we have a little bit, we're drilling down a bit more. And continued support from governor on local management board funding. So those are all we had last year. So this year's list is much larger. And I think, I don't want to be harsh, but I think that I'm hoping we can get some accountability.
Well, you want to bring forward some of them past ones that haven't.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, this is all going to be.
So we're going to add to our list.
Well, and I want to ask these questions on what happened with these, and these, and was it just, I think that try not to step on anybody's toes, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
Are there going to be any lead on to them? I mean, are they going to have an idea of what's on our list ahead of time?
We can send it.
It just seems to me that they can certainly, instead of being able to say, I don't know, or
well, no, but
they've had a chance
I'm talking
to
about the
research
last 2.
No, I know, but I'm referencing what we're what's on this year's
agenda. We'll send it to them.
Get them a copy and let them know ahead of time, and maybe they can be better prepared, I guess.
All right.
You want to send them 17 and 18's list as well? Both with those items?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, anything else?
That's enough on that.
That's
stuff.
enough, yeah. All right. All right, John.
I'd like to correct the number I gave you. I looked at the hotel tax is actually $550,000, not.
Yeah, because it used to cover the tourism and EDC.
Yes,
Right.
it used to dedicate to that.
You're now press the public comment. You're press the public comment now.
Yeah, I know. You good? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that brings us to our next press and public comments section. Thank you for taking the time to express your views to the county commissioners during the public comment period. Comments are limited to 3 minutes in length. Comments longer than 3 minutes should be submitted in writing. When you come forward, please speak clearly in the standing microphone, state your name, address, and topic of interest. Keeping with the dignity of the office, we ask that all views be expressed in a respectful and civil manner. The Commission respects your desire and right to convey your message freely. We ask as a courtesy to the board and our citizens that you respect the Commissioner's request and refrain from naming citizens and name-calling when offering any critique. Any sign-up? No.
All right, we had no one sign up. Would anybody like to speak? No takers. We'll close press and public comment and go right into roundtable. Where did we start last time?
We started at me.
We started Jack. So we'll start at Chris.
With me?
Yes, sir.
All right. As everybody knows, this year, the school year started after Labor Day. Next year on the calendar, we're slated to start before Labor Day. And I think there are a lot of parents who may not realize that the Board of Education does their calendar 2 years at a time. They put this in place in this past May, but there's a lot of people who are not up on that. As people maybe know, the governor and the comptroller are pushing to have all the school systems start after Labor Day. The comptroller's office released a study talking about the positive financial impact to the state by having a school start after Labor Day. So I would encourage everybody, even though it might already be set, to still, if you don't agree with that, to reach out to the Board of Education and let them know that for 2020, the parents would prefer to have their kids start after Labor Day weekend.
Before you go any further, I'd like to see us draft a letter for the next meeting for us to sign endorsing that, because I agree. I think that it should be after Labor Day, and I think we can get a couple votes.
The argument they said is that because it would put us
the
at
7th.
the 7th and it's so late, but I think when there's the will of the people is to start after Labor Day weekend, there's a way to make that happen.
I know the business community was not aware of it as of this
that
past week, and
I think that was something that was.
I think it was there. There was an article in the paper about it. So to be fair, it was out there in the public. I just because of the time when it was done, I don't think the public's focus was really on that. So that's why I thought it was important that we get that out there so people know that. I mean, there was a survey that was done, and overwhelmingly, the county said they wanted to start after Labor Day.
Right.
And I understand the school system thought it was tough to fit that in. I guess they have to finish by June 15th, so to get all the days in. But I think if they sharpen the pencils, they might be able to make it work. And I think that's what the people want. So.
But it did work
in the past.
Yeah. This one's going to be the 7th. This will be the latest. So
it's just a few more days.
No, I agree with you.
Labor Day is the 7th,
I support that wholeheartedly.
8th they would go back, and they're saying that's a whole week lost.
So we'll get a letter. We'll sign it and send it over. I mean, I think I agree with you. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, Mr. Dumanel.
I have nothing. I'll defer my time to Commissioner Jack Wilson.
Well, it's Commissioner Steve Wilson's turn.
Steve Wilson.
Absolutely.
Our senior statesman.
One of the Wilsons.
One of the Wilsons. The bookends.
So I just want to continue my praise for the YMCA's rounding up. I got to say they managed to get one donation. It was a good one, but they got a long way to go.
They should introduce that guy to the library, folks.
Yeah, we're going to see next year. But anyway, Commissioner Moran and I attended the Centerville debates last night with some curiosity and interest, and I think the unspoken elephant in the room was the Centerville traffic situation, which I think the citizens, and I want to say this commissioner, have never been happy with. That the town, I think that the extensive delays and that whole process happened without consulting us seems not right to me, and that I would hope that would. I don't think it's going to happen again, but it shouldn't have happened like that, that they would block this thing up for 18 months in a row without ever basically coming to us and talking about the engineering, the politics, and I mean, it turned out the contract was not very well thought out and the engineering not done, which all things which the county could have contributed to, and this is our county seat. I think we should have been involved, and none of that came up in this debate really last night, but speak, sir.
So how about the number of commissioners? Did that come up?
Yeah, they
going
both,
from three council members
they
to
both
5?
support going to 5, right. Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, it was an interesting debate, and we'll see what happens. So,
and it was broadcasted live.
It was broadcasted, and
so it's a great service of QACTV.
And I did watch it on the live broadcast.
Did you?
I did. Yeah.
So, I relinquish my remarks.
I got to watch it because a fellow commissioner sent it to me.
Well, that's nice. I don't get that luxury. So first off, the last plug, you'll hear from me for Project Bright Future as it is tomorrow night from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Chesapeake College Top Performing Arts Center. Doors open at 5:45 for refreshments. We have a great panel, and I think we will get out some good information that all the counties can benefit from in the future. Second thing I want to bring up was something that's really just came into the news this week. I think, what's today? Tuesday, Monday, I think, yesterday morning. I caught it on the television news and then heard it on the radio news driving to work, and that was that Goucher College just did a poll in terms of how folks here in the state would feel about raising taxes for education. And some may be surprised, the poll came back that 74% of Marylanders that were surveyed said that they would be in favor of raising taxes to pay for education. Unfortunately, I don't think the question was actually worded in a way that was, let's say, representative of what they should have asked, which was, would you be in favor of raising taxes to pay for education if there was a different outcome or a better product at the end? And that was not the question. But I think in people's minds, they may have thought that was the gist of the question. So that was very surprising. Now, on the flip side of that, which makes this very ironic and which I loved out of the poll, was then they asked everybody if they knew anything about the Kirwan Commission and what it was. 77% of the respondents said they had no idea what the Kirwan Commission was. So for 74% to be willing to raise taxes and have no idea how much those taxes are going to go up, I think is just an absolute, it's ridiculous. I mean,
the number of people that were polled, I think it was less than 300
It was
people.
763 people.
Okay.
And
Less than 1,000 people.
about that, there was 8% representation from the Eastern Shore counties, all 9 counties, and there was an 8% representation of the 3 furthest western counties. So 16% of the poll encompassed 12 of the counties, half the state, as part of the poll. All I can say is, and I didn't bring it up on the legislative initiatives because I think that elephant's going to sit in the room for an entire 90 days in Annapolis this session, so I don't think I have to keep beating on it. But as taxpayers here in Queen Anne's County, things are going to get dictated to us at a much higher level that we're not going to be able to control to a certain extent. And we're going to have to be vigilant and, I mean, really follow this as it works its way through the legislative session, because most of what's being said is this is going to get passed through in some form. What that form is going to look like, nobody knows, but it's going to be considerable. And there are certain counties that will go bankrupt under this plan if it's held at the levels that they're talking about. And it's sad because, yes, I agree, we could spend more money on education and get better results. As being a big fan of the CTE, I think we spend far too less on that we need to put more money into that to make our kids more productive and more successful. So, like I said, stay tuned. We got another 5 months and we'll know what it looks like.
Could I make one more
Absolutely.
remark in response
Absolutely.
to? I was amazed. I once privately polled Queen Anne's County on raising taxes for education. And I thought the answer would be 10 or 20% was in favor of it, and it was about 50, which was very surprising to me. But I mean, it did have a lot more support than you would intuitively get. And number two, I think in terms of the other counties, Queen Anne's County is better economically prepared than other counties, and I think that will be a protection for us, because what would be damaging to us would be ruinous to them, and I think that's going to mediate the results. In other words, that the state is not going to be able to jam something through that just flattens these guys out.
Well, Steve, you're a money man, and one of the things that I've said all along is one of the things I got to look at is individual county GDPs to be able to support this. If you use the state GDP as the driver for the triggers, some counties naturally are going to do better than other counties. So in order to adjust the teacher raises and whatever other expenditures they're going to have, they've got to look at the individual county's economic stature to gauge what you can afford. I mean, let's face it, I doubt Somerset County is going to be able to start their teachers out at $62,000 a year, which is what it calls for at the end of Kirwan. You know, I just think they have to start thinking more from a financial sense of how it's going to work going forward. The education part's great. We all get that. We're all on board with our kids being educated. But I think you look at the fiscal side, it's where it's kind of lacking right now. So,
That's the point I'm making, I think. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Good?
yeah.
All right, well, I got a request for all those people on social media that like to ask questions and take little surveys on all the different Kent Island happenings, Graceville, Centerville. I'd like somebody to ask the question, with the Kmart closing, what do they want to see happen to that building? And I'm curious to see what kind of response we get back to maybe help us figure out what we can do to help achieve that goal.
The bowling alley, movie theater, Target.
There you go.
All in one.
All in one. There you go.
That's what I think, yeah.
There you go. See, Target. All right, so that's fine. So, but I'd like to see that, because we follow them, we read them. I don't need to ask the question. I just want to see what kind of results we get. The second thing is, next Monday morning, everybody that commutes over that bridge, you better be prepared.
Bridge gate.
That's right. So the bridge gate is going to be starting. And I think what you're going to find is some of the lane configurements are going to be a little confusing to those on Route 50, but on Route 8, I think you're going to be somewhat pleased with how this is going to move, but stay tuned and just be patient because you're going to be dealing with this for 6 months. And with that, I would say that, Todd, myself, and Steve Cahoon did a conference call with, what's the traffic guy again?
Kimberly Horn.
Kimberly Horn. I'm going to get this one of these days. Kimberly Horn, and there was a lot of good conversation there. There's some things that we feel that need to be brought to the attention of the state, which I'm sure they already know, but now we know, that can hopefully help us move along in this process with a new bridge. So I think that's interesting. And as far as what we can do now as a county, I think that I'd like to see us maybe get some pricing to do an economic impact study of what this traffic is doing to Queen Anne's County. Because while I agree with Commissioner Wilson, we are healthy and we are on good firm ground. I think that the deterioration of the traffic issue and people trying to get to and from work and or school and or a doctor,
It's eventually going to affect that.
it's gonna, and I think it's going to start affecting all of the Eastern Shore. So, and I think this is something we need to do and start getting in front of this thing and start pushing these numbers because I don't see any help coming anytime soon. So,
Yeah, I'd like to offer that I managed to get choked about 4 days ago and have to go in an ambulance to Anne Arundel Hospital at night.
Yeah.
And that it took us an hour to get across the bridge on a Tuesday night at 9 o'clock.
Right.
And we just sat, I can't tell you when you're lying in a stretcher in an ambulance looking at the blinking lights and nobody's moving, and it was exactly what they'd done was to close down everything but 2 lanes, one east, one west, and then run a cement truck or something in front of the westbound. It was, and I literally called Dr. C up the next day and said, we're going to have to run a lot more down to Easton, and Todd and I are meeting with Easton because they have not been very cooperative with us recently, and that this thing is not working well.
Have we got any word on the where we stand on our observation beds? Have you heard anything since?
That's certainly going to be a thing that we're going to be pressing Cozell about, yeah. Yeah.
All right, anybody got anything else? Archie? Are you sure? Okay, all right, well, thank you very much, and motion to
adjourn?
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.